Ernest Auerbach is a man of vision.
He can visualize things that aren't there and then make them happen. He dreams things and likes to see them come to be.
I admire his business ethics. I admire his sincerity, and I admire his word. He does not need a contract. If he gives you a handshake, you've got it.
He's very, very sensitive and tuned in to people's feelings and people's problems. And he sort of anticipates their needs, and he's there when they need him.
He's the kind of guy who gives you an empty plate, puts it in front of you and says, you know, fill it up any way you can.
The rabbi would be desperate, so he would say, well, God will help. But in the meantime, he used to call up Ernie.
The two most incredible entities are Ernie Auerbach and the Israeli Defense Forces. Somehow they always get the job done.
To his friends, his family, his colleagues, to the Los Angeles Jewish community, and to all who know him, Ernest Auerbach is truly a remarkable man, a man of vision. Ernest learned the value of far-reaching vision early in life from his parents, Sarah and Harris.
Both my parents came from different parts of Russia. My mother came to Russia as a 16 or 17-year-old girl, I don't remember. And she went to work in a garment factory, saved up money, and sent for her parents, and sent for her brother and the rest of her family.
Sarah met Harris in New York, and they were married in 1900. The Auerbachs settled in the Flatbush area of Brooklyn and started a family. By 1908, Phil, David, and Hattie had arrived. The baby, Ernest, came along in 1916.
My father worked hard. I remember sitting on his lap and he would tell me stories. My mother was the one who taught me about being charitable, treating others like you would have yourself treated. She was beautiful inside and beautiful out. She loved people, and she loved family, and she worked hard.
The Auerbach family experienced tragedy when Harris suddenly had a stroke and died. Ernest was just 9. Phil, the oldest, became the family's primary breadwinner and a model for Ernest.
I remember one time riding around with him when I was about 10 years old in the car, distributing boxes of food for Passover, matzahs and other food for the people who couldn't afford any.
In addition to learning compassion, young Ernest also became quite enterprising.
I was always working. I always got a job. I was working in the grocery, delivering milk and delivering rolls.
And I wound up in the produce business where my brother Dave was active, and that's what I became, a produce merchant.
World War II interrupted his produce career, and Ernest soon found himself in Fort Riley, Kansas.
When I was inducted into the Army in early in 1942, where did they send me? Without my asking for it, they sent me to the Horse Cavalry. After my basic training on horses, they took the horses away from us and made us into an armored division. When they took the horses away, I said, well, without the horses, it won't be the same.
Ernest went to Officers Candidate School and was sent to the European Theater, where he was captain of the Penguin Fleet, providing food for troops and refugees. When the war ended, Ernest already had his plans.
I was going to open up a big lumber yard when I got out of the service, and it was a toss-up whether to go to Florida or California, and I just wanted out of New York.
Before Ernest made up his mind, his mother asked him to take her to California to visit his brother, Dave.
And I looked around here and I says, can't beat this. I don't think Florida can be any better. And I stayed here, never left. And I think I made a very wise decision because I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Ernest settled in Santa Monica in 1946 and put his sense of vision to work, eventually leaving an indelible mark on the face and skyline of the city.
I started looking around to go into business, and I found out that the money that I had saved up while I was in the service wasn't enough to go into business. And it just couldn't go in with a short dollar. So what was the best way to make a living without much capital? I started to sell real estate.
Soon after he opened his office, Ernest demonstrated an ability to predict people's needs. He saw that there was a shortage of homes and apartments, and he decided to become a builder.
I would buy a lot in Santa Monica to build a house. I bought a few lots there to build houses, and I paid from $500 to $1,000 a lot in the Sunset Park area. Apartment house lots, I used to pay around from $4,000 to $8,000, and I built a 10-unit apartment house.
He's known as Mr. Builder of Santa Monica, and rightfully so, because he's done most of the building in Santa Monica. The comments of the people at the City National Bank was that he was one of the fastest builders in the city. He'd start a project in 4 to 6 months it'd be completed, which was very unusual because most builders take 9 months to a year.
I couldn't wait till the next day to go to work. I hated when the day ended because I loved what I was doing so much that I couldn't wait for the next morning.
People always come up to him and say, "How many buildings do you own, Ernie?" He always answers them, "I don't know." It's not important. To him, he's a person, and he likes to treat people as people.
Ernest's down-to-earth personal way of doing business reflects his vision, whether his construction projects are homes, apartment houses, hospitals, office buildings, a YMCA, or shopping centers. A prime example is the new youth hostel in Santa Monica, which incorporates a renovation of the old Rap Saloon and Santa Monica Town Hall built in 1875.
It's a great tribute to Ernie to have had the opportunity to renovate the oldest building in Santa Monica after all that he's given and built in the city.
The beginning of Ernest Auerbach's building career coincided with an even greater event in his life, meeting Lisa.
One night I went to a dance and I saw this beautiful redhead out on the floor, and I asked a friend of mine who was with me, I says, "What's her name?" And he said, "Lisa DeShally." Oh, for God's sakes, I've been carrying a phone number around with me.
I got a phone call one evening, and this very sleepy-voiced man told me that he had gotten my number from a friend of mine, and he'd like to meet me. Well, I sort of had it with blind dates, and I was leery. Well, when he showed up at my door, first of all, he was taller than I am, so I didn't have to wear flat heels. And he was very good looking, and he had this wonderful smile, and we just fitted perfectly right from the beginning.
She lived with her father in a nice home, and I figured, well, I even have a place to live, too, because I didn't have much money then. I figured I could move right in and save rent.
2 weeks after we met, we were engaged, and 2 months later, we were married.
The Auerbach's early years of marriage included a mixture of happy times and financial challenges.
I not only cleaned offices with my wife, and she was a big help, I used to run a parking lot at night. And I used to park cars at night. Then when I was finished with that, I'd go home and go to bed. The next morning, I was out trying to sell real estate again. So that's the way we lived. But you look back now, it looks like the good old days, but we worked pretty hard, and we had each other, and that was important.
I really appreciate and admire the relationship they do have with each other, because it's extremely open and honest, and there are no secrets. They share everything.
I think after all the years of their marriage, they can still snuggle, they still hold hands, they're still very affectionate towards each other, and it just shows that love is still in bloom.
Most important in my life today is my family. My grandchildren, my children, my wife, they come before anything.
We never had an absentee father. We always had family meals together, and it didn't seem to hurt his success at all.
He can really have fun. He likes to come over and ask me what I'm doing. He's hoping I'm doing something fun.
He gives my mother a lot of credit for his success.
Lisa was never really a backseat driver. She knew what was going on, and I think she was equally influential in most of the things they did when they started out.
Well, Lisa is Lisa. We all love Lisa because she's a dynamo.
I think Lisa epitomizes what a woman should be. She's loving, she's dedicated, she's a strong force in the family, she's a loving wife.
I think every child should have a grandma like Lisa.
I don't think any charitable thing that Ernie does that Lisa's not at his side to make sure that it's done properly and right.
They're good for each other. And together, they're good for everybody.
The Auerbach sense of vision extends from business and family into the community at large, where their philanthropic actions continue to make a huge difference.
They've always given from whatever their income level was, they were giving something to somebody. And we've always been around that, and we're aware that that's the right way to live.
They're philanthropic people. They're people that give with their whole heart. And they give not only in monetary, but they give of themselves. Ernie and Lisa used to go down to Israel Levin Center in Ocean Park, and they used to serve the old people breakfast. They were the waiter or waitress.
We feel that you should give back to the community because we've had a good life and we didn't do it all on our own. You know, we made our fortunes through the help of other people. We like to give some back.
The contributions of Ernest and Lisa Auerbach touch the entire community. Care for the elderly, services to young people, education, medicine, and arts and culture.
I think everybody connected with him suddenly becomes very charitable.
Ernest shares the benefits of his success in the business world as well, giving time and knowledge to those beginning their careers.
I think he's been a mentor not only to me, but to many young men in the industry who are now quite successful today.
I love young people. I love being with them. I love their energy, and I'm lucky that I could pick out good people to surround myself with. I think it's great having young people that you can pass the torch to.
Having enjoyed so many accomplishments in the business world, Ernest combined his ability to visualize and create something new with a long-held dream.
My big dream is if I ever got to the place where I had enough money, I would buy myself a nice large farm just for relaxation. And this is what I did.
One of the financial people at City National Bank heard about a ranch that was for sale. And this particular person tried to get a group together to buy the ranch. And there were other people that knew about the ranch. And they were trying to get groups together to buy the ranch. Ernie heard about it, went out there and bought the ranch. That's the end of it.
Somehow, as soon as we drive up to the ranch, it's almost like somebody lifts 20 pounds of concrete off of Ernie's shoulders. His face changes, his attitude changes, and it's total relaxation.
What are all these people looking at? They're just another horse.
Like everything else Ernest takes on, the ranch has become more than just a hobby.
What started out being just a fun place to go turned out to be a successful venture, too, because he's raising a lot of thoroughbred horses. He's had quite a few winners.
I enjoyed the life I lived. I'd work hard, I'd play hard, and it was great. God's been good to me, and it's just like a farmer. You plant enough seeds, eventually you'll have a crop. Now I'm reaping the benefits of my crop.
Ernest Auerbach's harvest is well-deserved, the fruits of a sense of vision that has built his life and that has overflowed into the lives of others.
My father served in the American Army in the First World War, and he's very proud of that. And in 1917, he reminds us that he was stationed at Camp Custer, Michigan. And whenever Ernie comes to the house and visits and then leaves, my father whispers in Elaine's ear and mine that he remembers Ernie from Camp Custer, Michigan, having had served with him. And my father tells me that even then, Ernie Auerbach was a big shot.
He's 180 degrees different from someone like Donald Trump, who tries to put himself in front all the time.
He's a great teacher. By just watching him, you'll learn.
He's always worried about other people and caring about other people.
He'll always tell you things will work out for the best and not to worry about it, and it's always true.
He's unique to me.
I've really never met anybody like him.
I just feel that it's my privilege to have him as my friend.
I don't know too many people like Ernie Auerbach.
Ernest Auerbach is a man of vision. His vision is seen in the skyline of Santa Monica, in the endowments of charitable organizations, and in the hearts of his family and friends. For his contributions to all of us, we honor Ernie Auerbach tonight.